Should we be reviewing each and every single line of code? If you've been programming with AI, this is a question that has undoubtedly entered the team discourse in the last couple of months. And today I want to shed some light on how I think about things and practical things I do to keep this stuff manageable while still keeping control of my code base, and most importantly, of the understanding I have about my code base. And to show you a quick spoiler about where I'm going with this, this is a skill I've been building and I've been using heavily in my agentic engineering. And it's a skill that generates diagrams. And it generates a special kind of diagrams. We'll go into details later, but very high level. This is a 5,000 lines of code PR. And instead of having to read each and every of those 5,000 lines or doing stacked PRs to keep it manageable, while still having to read those 5,000 lines of code, I have my agents generate treasure maps, diagrams like you can see here, and then I can zoom in on the parts that are architecturally significant or the things that surprise me. And you see a couple of things on these kinds of diagrams. You see boxes, which are components, classes, services, dependencies like a message bus, whatever. And you see arrows, which are this calls that, this uses that. And you see colors. Blue means this component has not been changed. Green means a dependency or a component has been added. And orange means something has changed, like a method signature or code inside of a component. And this gives me a bird's eye view. For example, this 5,000 line PR gives me a bird's eye view of what components are impacted, what dependencies changed, and I can make the call if I see database sensitive things or security sensitive things. I can make the call to go take a look at that. But other things I actually don't much bother taking a look at anymore. So how is that the case? How do I generate these diagrams? Let's dive in. So before we dive into the how, let's first frame a bit why am I drawing treasure maps? Why am I drawing these diff diagrams? Because writing code has become significantly cheaper and has become significantly faster than ever before. And the job of engineers is shifting to everything in front of it, specification, grill me, plan mode, stuff like that. And behind it, verification, installing harnesses, guardrails, loops, graphs, whatever. And that changes the dynamic of programming a bit because before, when I was writing every line of code by hand, I had a very deep understanding of the system, simply because I was mutts in the boot, knee deep in the code. But since coding agents are getting really good at that part, I don't have that boots in the mud experience. So I need to figure out different ways to get a good enough understanding of the system and the big picture. And that is where these treasure maps or my diff diagrams come into place, to have big overview, system level overview of changes. So I can keep track of the mental model of how my product works and how it's structured without having to write every line of code by myself. Now, this problem is not new. This is actually a problem that senior engineers and tech leads have been struggling with for years. As soon as you manage a team and you're not the only one writing the code, by definition, almost the amount of code that gets generated or hand rolled by your team members, is bigger than your capacity of reviewing it, especially if you work with 2 pizza teams or teams of 10 developers. So this is not a new problem, and this is a senior engineering skill that's becoming essential for everyone. But I like to call it selective attention. You have to figure out which parts of the system to look at and which parts of the system to find alternative ways of having your team build quality code and build quality in without you being involved or being a peer review or a quality gate or whatsoever. And this can be if you look at the modern terminology, harness engineering, you can do stuff like linters, enforce architectural rules. You can write automated tests to detect functional regressions. You can do static code analysis. So that's all still very relevant, or even more relevant than ever before in the age of agentic engineering. That's not how you maintain a running understanding of the system. how like senior engineers and tech leads do that even before the age of AI was like having lots of group discussions, stuff like event storming, still very powerful today, and like building an accepted way of doing things. Like if you introduce a new command in your system, these are like the abstractions you should be building out, stuff like that. And if you have like one way of working and everyone follows it, then like the code base becomes more predictable. And that's powerful before AI, but now with AI, that's even more powerful. If you have like a couple of formulas, a couple of building blocks that like every part of the code or every new feature would use, like a repository abstraction, a command handler, stuff like that. LLMs are really good at replicating like structure and filling in like the differences, the semantic or the syntactical differences. So yeah, this is also super relevant. And one of the power tools I used for that high-level system understanding is diagramming. I used to draw system and architecture diagrams all the time, and that is how I keep like a big map of the system in my head. And that's exactly what I've been doing with AI as well. So yeah, for understanding system structure, I would say that a diagram or a picture says more than 1,000 words or 1,000 lines of code. So now let's dive into a bit in how I build my treasure maps and the underlying theory. So to do that, let me share my screen. To do that, let's start with like the source. And the source is something called the C4 model by Simon Brown. And it's a diagramming technique, like a lightweight architecture diagramming technique. You have all these like heavyweight things used in enterprise, which is not really interesting. This technique I use like almost in every team I visit, and it's a very lightweight of describing like architectural structure. And in a nutshell, C4 is just 4 types of diagrams, and it's like a zoom in. You start at the highest level, and then you go deeper and deeper until you hit like a code level. I don't think every C or every different kind of diagram is as useful, especially not in the use cases for like structural changes in a PR or like in a week's worth of work. But like the container and component diagrams are very relevant. So if you just want to dive into a couple of those, I would say that those two are the most relevant. So this is where I like took my inspiration. The only difference I made is like I don't generate one diagram. I generate like a before and an after, and then I like merge them together in a single view. So I have like a diff representation of these things, which is like what you can see here. And this really allows me to take a look at, for example, this was again that 5,000 line PR, and I can really see like at a high level, container level, I see like, okay, we are sending new messages over a message bus. And we are talking to a new kind of service, and that one is forwarding events to the UI, stuff like that. I can see this like from a single diagram, which is like 20 seconds of work, versus having to read 5,000 lines of code. Or if it was like a good engineer before AI, I would never see diagrams like this in a PR, but I would see like walkthroughs, like let me guide you through what changed and a high level description and then zoom in. I do exactly the same nowadays, and my whole team does it, but they do it basically for free. This is a skill. The agent generates this stuff, and the agent like pastes it in the GitHub PRs. So my whole team has leveled up. My whole team is using this technique, which is kind of nice if you are still concerned about system design, system health, code quality, and you accept the reality that you cannot painstakingly read every single line of code that changes in a system. So this is a perfect balance trade-off for my context. So this is complementary to specs or grilling or planning. I try to do like most of the decision making up front. That's why I use, I'm a big fan of Grill Me, by the way. If you have not used it, take a look, especially the latest version that like batches the questions and is not like one by one. It's really token efficient. It surfaces important design decisions up front before you let your clankers code for an hour. So yeah, but I digress. So I try to pull the important decisions up front, and then I have a lot of deterministic and inference-based guardrails to check for like security vulnerabilities and stuff. But for keeping track of the system design and the system, the software design, that's not something you can outsource. That's something you need to have in your head. And these kinds of diagrams really help me like see step changes, like from today or last week's code base to this week's code base. What changed? What are like the new abstractions? Did like code move? This is a really good way to like keep following along with the code as it gets generated. I mainly use it when looking at PRs. So I generate like a diff for the entire PR, and I kind of use it like a heat map. I look at like the architecturally significant things, like I see a message bus here. Then I go look at like, is the message bus config set up correctly? I see database. Then I go and take a look at like indices and performance stuff to verify. Security sensitive stuff is the most important one. So if I see anything regarding secrets, client IDs, client secrets, stuff like that, that deserves some attention. If you don't have like static analysis like Sonar or Aikido or something similar, or SNCC for dependencies. So yeah, I use this more as like a compass to guide my attention to parts of the code that have changed that deserve human attention. One other way I like to use this is I do grill me, so I do a lot of planning up front and specification up front, and then we get 5,000 lines of code, whatever, and then I generate these diagrams, and I look for surprises. If I see like an arrow, like like a surprising dependency or like a component that I did not think that would be affected, that's when I dive into the actual code diff to take a look at what's actually happening. But other than that, I don't like really investigate all the lines of code that have changed anymore. Oh man, things keep moving fast and it's super hard to keep up. If that's a feeling that resonates with you, maybe I can help out. I have a free newsletter with a weekly summary of what happens in Agentic engineering land, and it's totally free, so if you are interested, please look for it in the description below. Let's continue. Now let's quickly dive into what it is and how you can use it yourself. And of course, it's a skill. It's even a single markdown file, so it has no dependencies. This works great in GitHub. It does not work that well in Azure DevOps because the syntax for diagrams, the mermaid syntax, is not supported in Azure DevOps PR markdown stuff. So there I use a tweak that renders these diagrams in ASCII, which is good, not great. But other than that, I found like all platforms to support this kind of markdown. So it's universally applicable. And yeah, it's just like a skill. It's a bit of markdown. It contains some examples, but I mainly plug this in my agentic workflows. So I do a bit of planning. I do a grilling session, and then I fire off my agentic loop or graph or whatever you want to call it. I fire up my factory, and the factory will write tests, build the code, do some PR review, stuff like that. And as a final step, when the PR is ready to be submitted, I use this skill in a sub-agent to render the heat map and the treasure map, or the diff diagram, as I call it. And I have that like as part of the description of my PRs, so I can have access to those treasure maps when I see a PR. Don't do this for one-line changes. Of course, I do this for like bigger changes, but it's a very neat way. It's cheap. It costs a couple of cents per PR, and it allows me to have like this easy way to keep track of changes. So if you want to use it yourself, the link is in the description, and it's just a skill like any other skill. So you can use the skills package to install them, or a Cloud Code plugin. It all works. And if it doesn't, please let me know in the comments below. So to recap, how should you be using this? As I said, I myself use it as a heat map. So I trust my static checks. So I trust my compilers, my tests, my security scanners, my linters. And I use this as for two reasons. I use this to keep track of the mental model of the system, and I use this to replace, or more specifically, more correctly, to inform where I should direct my attention during code review. So I look for the surprises and the spicy bits. I don't read diffs line by line. And I found that to be a very good trade-off between keeping track of the system and speed. So I think we should not be running full speed. The dark factory, I don't see it happening in my context. The autonomous software factory, where humans are doing a lot of work upfront and keeping a running understanding of the system, that I do see working, and that's where this kind of thing shines, I think. Now, depending on where you are on the career ladder, I think you can be using this skill differently. For junior engineers, I found this to be a good way to figure out, especially if you're doing agentic engineering, you can just prompt your way to a solution. But I noticed that among some of the junior people I work with, they don't have like a deep sense of understanding of the system they're building. And that's a difference to the times before AI. So I think that skills like these, skills as in my diff skill, can actually help juniors to get like a better understanding of the system by seeing what changes when they prompt, like what component changes and like which components are impacted. I think they might get, or I don't think I see this, I see them getting a better system level understanding. So if you're a junior, I would suggest running this skill after doing like a bigger change or having an agent do a bigger change, and try to like predict or like draw this diagram before yourself manually, and then look at the generated diff and see whether or not you called those shots correctly. And if they don't line up, maybe then it's interesting to like go into use your agents and have them interview you or have them quiz you on like, why is this dependency there? Why is there suddenly a database change? Stuff like that. So I think for junior engineers, that's a very interesting use case for the skill. For seniors and tech leads, it's a way, as I said, that's how I use it. It's a treasure map, it's a heat map, it's a way to keep track of the high-level structure changes, but also to direct your attention during code reviews, during like weekly system overview sessions, whatever. It's a way to direct your attention to the spicy and the surprising parts of the code. This was inspired by Kent Beck. In his podcasts and in his writing, he often mentions wait what. And with wait what, he means when code gets generated this quickly and gets changed this quickly, as a software engineer, you often feel like wait, what just happened? And he is looking for ways to like keep track of the changes or keep track enough of those changes. And he talks about like having agents write poems about the changes, or like a podcast or an audio, an MP3 file that like extols whatever changed. I kind of like pictures, I kind of like diagrams, so this is my version of wait what. So in summary, at agentic speeds, it's becoming impossible to like review each and every line of code that gets generated. But not every line of code should reward or should deserve the same level of attention. And for me to keep track of a system and to have like a heat map of what changes, these diagrams are like the ideal trade-off between detail and abstractness to actually like keep a running tally of the system and to look where the surprising parts are. So I don't think we can let these agents rip and throw software design out of the window. I heard this quote somewhere saying that software design is context engineering, and that really resonates. So yeah, I'm stealing that. Software design is context engineering, so we should not be throwing it out of the water. But agentic speed makes reviewing impossible, or line by line reviewing impossible. So this is one of the ways I deal with it without trading off quality and risk. Now, finally, before you go, I would love if you try out this skill on your next PR or on your next big code change. So link is in the description below, and please let me know how it works for you. And I'd love to see you again next time. Bye-bye.